The shrill, thunderous scream tore through the night sky. The owner of the shop with everyone, "Hurry out! Find the flower behind. Dark hallway, I found out that the cat is dying. There's a pile of guts down there. The scene is unbearable. And this is also the beginning. It's a crime story of the ruthless killer in Camp Show. Today I will introduce you. It's a murder case. The most terrible in China. Make sure that you're mentally ready to listen to this, because the case has a lot of grisly details that you can't imagine. A good morning, September 2004. In Bin Thuan village in Camp Show. Noodle shop owner Min surname just finished with the last guest and start tidying up. She also hired a 17-year-old girl to help me wholesale and clean the store. The girl's name is Little Flower. Is a poor girl living in the countryside. She took her to work, also out of pity for your situation. Father Tiu Ho has a chronic disease that cannot be aggravated. I rely on my mother to farm. Large family of brothers and sisters, extremely difficult conditions for helping me heal sick to let my brother go to school. My daughter stopped studying home. As every day, after the guests leave, my daughter will stay and clean up. Then I'm ready to go home. When I was cleaning, I suddenly wanted to go to the bathroom. That is what the boss said. There is a potty in the shop. Go to the potty. It's so dark outside. Don't go outside. The embarrassed girl replied. If someone comes in, you have to do something. The boss laughed. There will be no guests so late. If someone comes, I'll stop you. But Little Flower is ashamed, still decided to go to the public toilets outside. Bar. The public toilet is only 10 meters from the noodle shop. Passing through a small alley came. After the Little Flower went out the door, Mrs. Min just cleaned the dishes and waited for her to come back. While cleaning the dishes, the woman suddenly heard a 7-bar scream. It is the voice of the Little Flower. She immediately rushed to the toilet. But I can't see you. So she asked everyone to find her. Finally, behind the dark hallway, they found out the bird was dying. There is also a small flower below. A pile of gut-wrenching crime scenes, unable to watch. The girl was immediately taken to the emergency room. The hospital convened experts. Night treatment for girls. Dr. Willow has operated on countless patients. Have also seen countless cruel wounds. But when you see the guinea pig gutted, sometimes I'm scared of people who don't know how to do it. After settling down emotionally, Willow doctor conducts examination for UTI. He found out that he was seriously injured. Sagging of the back tissue of the stomach down in front of the intestine form her folds, and the entire small intestine has been pulled out. It's not just the small intestine that's been broken for years, but the tissue system of the small intestine is also severely damaged. Even the lining of the small intestine, it is not broken or damaged. The entire small intestine is broken by more than 2 meters, and the remainder is less than 1 meter. For seriously injured intestines. The killer ripped his guts out and put his violent hand in his vagina. It makes the vagina hurt. Many places are cracked. Such a serious injury. Can see how cruel this villain has become. Even animals are not equal. Dr. Willow and the doctors were outraged. Give full emergency power to the little flower. We had a few hours of surgery. He finally brought the girl to the brink of death. Save life again. This incident was immediately reported to the police. And that's what the police remember. A case just a month ago. The victim was also killed by the perpetrator. And how to disembowel. It's almost the same as the case of Little Ho. It's a murder case. The 8th of December 2004. The rain is falling. An old goat herder is driving the goats home. Was walking through a dirt road near a bungalow. The old man vaguely saw a girl lying on the side of the road. The girl is not far from the house, beside the small forest. This place is bumpy. People often get injured. So the old man rushed to ask the girl who fell, "Sow, it's a bumpy road here. You have to be careful at night." But asked for hours, the girl still didn't move. Here, the old man unconsciously picked up a lighter. He looked threatened by the soul. Throw out the lighter and run. Ignore the goats. He could run a few steps, and the old man fell over. My face is also bleeding, but you don't feel the pain anymore. Running on the road to alert the police. People on the road came up to ask what was wrong, but because I'm so scared, so the words are a little hard to hear. 2 young men, among them Big Liver, in the direction of the old man just went. Use a flashlight. It's beyond the imagination of 2 people. The flashlight just lit. I saw a little girl lying on the ground, face up to the sky. Something around her neck was covered in blood. 2 legs out, all bloody, long dead. But more threatening, that's when the 2 young men looked back. What's wrapped around the girl's neck is her gut. And this gut pulls out from inside the vagina. There is a pile between the legs. Something that's soft, the old man just stepped on. It's this gut. 2 young men afraid to lose their seats. A guy pissing off pantyhose spot. Someone else went to the police. The victim is known to be 19 years old. Houses in the old village of Coal Reduction Town, Kamsho area, Gyeonggi City, Gansu Province. Because your family is not good, the 19-year-old had to work in a home appliance store in Kamsho. Rent a room in Zigan 3 Kamsho. When the police and autopsy team arrive at the scene, he was also brutally threatened by the crime scene. Going through the autopsy methods, it was concluded that the perpetrators of the crime had a certain understanding for human body dissection. It's a very ingenious gut trick. After strangling a lamb, put your hand in the pussy. From the abdomen, pull out the intestines. Was wrapped around. The suspect is first identified. Are the doctors or butchers at the slaughterhouse. The purpose of the crime is highly suspicious. Death is not raped or robbed. Money and mobile phones too. Due to the rain, the crime scene didn't leave any fingerprints. There are no witnesses either, so the police can only slowly investigate step by step. From here, the reputation of the murderer is gutted. Was transmitted quickly by land across the city. Trong Yi thought, this land transmission, this will keep him hidden for a while. But did not expect Lin's case is only the case of Zhao Ho. About a month. Proved the unsolved wasn't afraid to commit the crime again. The police are desperately looking for him. When he woke up, the police immediately go to the hospital immediately for a statement. Little HOA trembled, remembering the scary situation at that time. She recounted, "When I went to the public toilet not far from the noodle shop, in the dark, suddenly, someone's holding the rope. Strangle you because it's too dark. So you only vaguely see the shape of the enemy. It feels like the other person is a grown man. Now you're panicking, begging him. But the man didn't let go. We don't talk either. Try to strangle her. You soon pass out. But it's still a bit vague. Then suddenly I felt a pain under my body. Paralysis of the mind. I couldn't help but scream for an hour and then pass out. When I woke up, I knew I was in the hospital. In the dark of the night, under attack, in extreme pain. My daughter is only 17 years old. The information you provide is limited. Little Ho only saw a vague shape without seeing him clearly. Based on the gut-wrenching method, apparently the unsub attacked Little Ho. He is also the murderer who killed Adam. What is the criminal's motive? This gives the police a huge headache. He kills girls because he wants to steal them, property theft or emotional disputes. None of the above questions can, because the two victims were not violated. Anyone who looks knows. Neither of you has the money. Location: a lamb damaged. It's only 500 meters from her room. It's raining on a nearby road. This is not a good place to invade. About the Little Flower. Was attacked at the noodle shop. Intrusive conditions are not a good place either. It's not true from a sentimental point of view. My daughter doesn't have a boyfriend. The forest has just moved here. Before now, I never heard you talk about having a boyfriend. So what's the killer's motive? After these two cases, a task force in Kamsho was established. The police have revisited similar cases. Happens around the area, and the police have questioned. With the two most recent attacks on women. The first case was a couple from the Cow family. Wife attacked in front of barbecue, waiting for husband to arrive. Fortunately, she screamed and her husband arrived in time, so nothing serious happened. This happened 24/7. Before the two events above, the police received a report that night. Near a barbecue shop, Gaosan-mo District, Kamsho, there was a girl named Cow who was suddenly attacked. When the police came to the scene, Cow Kier and her husband are standing on the side of the road, still not reborn. They told Cow, "I'm on night duty today. After work, meet your husband at the barbecue for dinner." I went to the bar and waited about 10 minutes. My husband hasn't arrived yet. So I went to the door to call him. While I'm talking, I unconsciously go to the end of the alley. Suddenly a man strangled me, pushed me to the ground. They asked me if they were Ha or not. I was threatened to scream. Just then my husband arrived. It's only a few hundred meters away. You can hear my screams. My husband rushed over. The man ran away. My husband and I followed behind for a while, but didn't catch up. It's dark, I can't see the field. This man is tall. The whole body smells of alcohol. I seem to have drunk a lot. When they arrived at the scene, the police found no injured AI. There is no physical damage. So don't take notes seriously. Let's simplify it a little bit. Just until these two things happen. The police found two people to find out. The details these two couples provide. It's not enough for the police to find out. The man that day, is that the killer they're looking for? The police continued to investigate the second incident. The next case takes place only after being killed for 3 days. There are people in God's way. Temple of Orange County Police. The girl told the police about the incident. She said, "I've just been beaten a little bit and raped." She said she was at home watching TV that night. Then suddenly someone knocked on the door. When I opened the door, a big man said, "I'm looking for Trong Van Bin." You are still politely responding, "There is no such person here. You're looking for the wrong person." Even though the big man doesn't seem to believe. You are looking for the wrong person. You lied to me. I'm here to collect your debt. I want to go inside and find him. The man shoved the girl they Peng Ra resolutely rushed in. Now she was afraid to speak out loud to the man's face. "What are you doing? I told you there was no one here to do anything." Big man looking for around in the room. There was no one, but they still refused to go. "You're a little scared, so say another one. You go, or I'll call someone." The big man heard that. "What to call? You must be a prostitute by the way you dress. How much is it? What do you say? Who's a prostitute? Don't talk shit." You are angry and afraid to respond. The big man laughed and said in an expressive voice, "What else to pretend? So go have fun with me once I give her 200 yuan." Then the two sides continued to talk back and forth. But also because of panic, the girl called out the name of the host next door. The big man is angry. He jumped to her throat and repeatedly punched her in the face. After they were beaten, they shouted to save their lives, fighting with the man. "I can't control the girl." The man suddenly gave his hand, "Scratch your pussy," and run out the door. The man in the next room heard the girl, "Go to the police immediately." The man also ran away now. This case arose 3 days after the death. According to common sense, how big of a guts is the gut killer? I didn't dare commit a crime so quickly. Plus the method of the crime is not the same. The girl was only slightly injured. The police don't care. After taking a bow to investigate for a while, it doesn't solve anything. But this time the case may be the clue. Help the police. We can arrest the murderer Ra. The girl remembers his appearance. You can also hear the local sound. Police immediately based on their description to paint a portrait simulation. When the crime squad police looked at the painting, I was surprised to say, "This is not the sound." Then, the police took the painting to the couple and the girl they Peng see. The girl they Peng confirmed is Q Kim Kwok. 2 men because they can't see their faces, but also confirmed that the shape is very similar. Everyone, after hearing the police say, everyone was shocked. The police know the name of the person in the picture. The police officer remembered. He was killed 3 months ago. In April, the Chinese attacked women. The person who committed the crime at the time was him. A girl surnamed Ha at a massage parlor reported. She said she was hit on the phone and robbed. After the police arrived at the scene, discovered on their Ha only slightly rubbed. Strangely, they say, after the Kier customer took her phone, returned to the store. When the police found this guest, just released from the out-of-prison camp, 14 Thirds police went to the East Lake sub-district of Kempsho. find Q Keen Kwok is at home. For police questioning, the National View casually says, "I really pushed them down." But to people fighting, because no one gets hurt, there is no property lost, so the police also consider it a minor friction. The police conduct criticism, education with international affairs. Let him pay a few hundred yuan. Cure for Miss Ha. The court can now confirm they have attacked women twice. There's a certain suspicion. Foreign affairs. Was the youngest child in a normal working-class family? Both parents are construction workers. He has 3 sisters and 1 brother. Because she's the youngest in the house. Since childhood, my parents and siblings have been very His pampered. Temperament is impatient and lazy. I don't like to work well. Even his father's insults didn't work. His family thinks the biggest change was after 1/7. His first love's family called him poor. Don't he let your daughter go back to him. The nation is under great attack. Get angry and start drinking. Drunk. The Chinese often cause fights. The body of Q Keen Kwok is quite strong. He is 6 feet 8 inches tall. Normal thugs can't beat him back. He often goes back and forth with bad national affairs. There's a little bit of fame in the gangsters. Step by step turn into a bad person. But his brother saw people like him. Used to hang out together. Before turning 18 years old, the state is involved in a theft case. After being indicted in 1989, he was sentenced to 6.5 years in prison. In Q Keen Kwok prison has good performance. So 1994 was released a year ahead of schedule. After he got out of prison, his parents advised him to be a good man, but as a criminal who's been in prison, so the poor can't find a job. Sometimes I do a little errand, based on their parents' pension, living through the day. Being bored is also an alcoholic. The more foreign countries essay into alcohol, getting drunk every day and getting involved in drugs. He and his brother smoked drugs together. Make the family extremely 7 hopes because of the drugs. So he was forced into CAI addiction twice. The last time he went to prison was on the 17th of May 2001. 3 years after being released. Like that, 3 years in prison in a re-education camp. 15 long prison term. The prime suspect, of course. After the assessment of the National, the police began to focus their investigation. Very quickly there was a large harvest. The police received testimony of 2 acquaintances of Q Kwok. I remember it at 9/20. That is, when Zhao Hua was attacked. They were near the crime scene waiting for friends to go to dinner. Now they see the national panic. Step forward. He was covered in dust all over. There was blood on his hands. Because I thought he was drunk. The man was covered in dirt and injured his hands. So I didn't pay much attention. A couple of other witnesses also said, when the case arose, on the 2nd floor of the building near the scene, you heard the girl screaming. Should look down. In the dark night, they caught a glimpse of a couple pulling each other. I thought the 2 men were fighting each other. So they don't really care. The police took a picture of the Keen Kwok for people to identify. They said it was too dark to see. But it feels very similar. Police. There were 20 photos of 20 suspects. results of the survey are pointing to the country of origin. Based on the clues, the police decided to arrest Q Quoc. 29th, the police quickly surrounded the Q family home. We've got 20 plainclothes cops, tracking in 5 nearby places. Prepare to wait for the nation to leave the door. Will be arrested immediately. They had 3 criminal records. Money, very fast detection of police ambush. He and his brother. The people closed the doors of the house to resist. Q's house is an anti-theft door, unless you can open it with a stick. There are weapons in his house. If the police try to attack, it can cause casualties or shoot the Chinese. This is what the police don't want to see. On September 23rd, the decision was made. The police told him to go downstairs to do a urine test. He and his brother had a history of drug use. But they are not stupid. From beginning to end, the door is not open. Also declared, anyone who wants to be a hero goes up. Before he dies, he'll take you to the crime scene. If he does too much, he'll jump. He struggled for 9 days with no progress. At this time, the girlfriend of Q Qian, I suddenly went to the person in charge. His girlfriend said, absolute foreign exchange. It's not a gut-wrenching killer, and gave evidence that I was with him. And they're both considering marriage. Open a noodle shop together. You two had a plan together. So he couldn't have done this. According to his girlfriend, no matter from what angle, foreign nationals seem to have no incentive to commit crimes. It doesn't fit the psyche of the killer. Mwagut. After hearing information from his girlfriend and his family, the police are a little suspicious. Pervert criminals constantly killing people. It's also about work and love. They fall into the same path and kill people. Never heard of. Who has a favorable emotional life? They steal people. But if you get to this point, the police, of course, have to catch the Chinese. Then says. And finally the case team talked to them. He agreed to the request for his girlfriend and mother to pick him up for a urine test at 4 p.m. on the 29th. The last foreign exchange. He also agreed to go for a urine test. He had just come downstairs and was caught by an ambush. Police immediately conduct an interrogation of the State of the Union. During the interrogation, Qian Qingguo admitted the attack on Cao and Peng. That's what he did. But this is all about drunk harassment of women. Absolutely not murder. For the case of Lam and Zhao Ho, the nation is determined not to recognize. While being interrogated over and over again, the case is not my doing. If you have the evidence, shoot me. Really, if you say that all the cases are committed by the Q Quoc, there are also many loopholes. 3 cases of harassment of women. They're all grown women. 10 years old, 2 of them married. But A Lam and Zhao Ho are not even 20 years old. There's a huge difference with Kier cases. Previous Kier analysis given. This is a cowardly thug. I dare to attack the girls. But Qian has admitted to 3 Kier cases. He's obviously not shy when attacking adult women. By talking to the police, you can see that this person is stubborn. Body, shoulder, muscle you. Surrounded by the police. It can last 9 days. Not surrender. Clearly this person is very difficult to deal with. That's according to the police's previous findings. That the gut-wrenching killer is a coward. There's a big contradiction, but did not expect is that the Q Quoc pleaded guilty very quickly. The police said, give him the policy. Say the law, say mistress. The good deed also satisfied his request. Eventually, his psychological defenses would collapse. At 5 p.m. at the next interrogation, the state has admitted everything. Then Trong Yip police announced the situation of solving the case. The killer has been arrested. It's the nation. He said he killed her because she missed a date. 11/8 while walking around Kemsho. The world is waiting for you. The nation sees death alone. I want to talk about love with you. He then told me that he had been in prison 3 times, save for death. She refused his unreasonable request, but he still insists on you. I met him on the 12th. When the time came, I was not going to see death. Anger drinking wine. Then I started going everywhere looking for you. He met her near where she rented. Q Kwok angrily scolded Death, forcing her into her dorm room. That night at 10 o'clock, she took you from the hotel room to take a risk. Heavy rain and mud pulled to the dirt road next to the small forest that choked her, and then brutally gutted the body and went home. The reason for this is because he avenged the wrong man. Late night 19/9. My friends and I drink at a bar. Drunk just came home. Near a noodle shop on the east side, my dad caught me going to the bathroom. In a state of drunkenness, Q Kwok saw the appearance of Little Ho. They are very similar to Ha, the girl in the Kier shampoo shop. It evokes the idea of revenge. When Little Ho goes into the alley, Kian Kwok suddenly rushed out to strangle her. Little Ho's local language cried out in fear. The Chinese realized that he had the wrong person, because the girl is not local. The state is afraid to report to the police. Still strangled her in half a coma. From next to the toilet, dragged to the corridor, cruelly gouged out Little Flower. Then Mrs. Min ran out to find Little Ho. Threatened the nation. He fled the scene and went home to sleep. At 8:40 a.m. the 1st of June, 2005. Wearing the Army's green cotton jacket, Foreign Affairs was taken out of prison to the Orange County Courthouse. At 9 o'clock the trial officially begins, but did not expect that. It's an arrogant attitude from the beginning. He admitted only 3 cases of harassment of women. It's because I did it. For the killing of the forest and the attack on the small flower. The absolute opposite. I don't admit he caused it. The lawyer of the State of the Union also said that the case has no direct evidence. In front of you is only the bow of the cube and the identity of the little flower. But Little Ho is young. It happened suddenly. I can't help but talk about the wrong person. More, the police identified 5 photos that they said were 2. Is not a person. These testimonies were all given on September 30th. At that time, the nation was in the spotlight. Someone who was capable of committing a crime. The testimony is inevitably emotional. The subjective nature of the witness. The word of the witness. I can only prove that the damage is true. It cannot be proven that the national. At the same time, the testimony of Q Kwok and witnesses. On the scene situation, there's a lot of mismatches. The court sentenced him to death on January 17th. But the country expressed its desire to appeal. Gansu Provincial High Court reviewed the trial and found that the Kian court killed. It's unclear who intentionally caused the injury. Not enough evidence. Take it down to the Zhangyi City People's Court. Retrial of the case. At 9 a.m. the 18th of August 2005. Zhangyi City People's Court. A second trial. The case of Q Quan Kwok. The first time was a public trial. The second time it turned into a non-public trial. Except for the relatives of the injured, no one can be heard. Even the relatives of QQ, nor in court. In court that day, the country still does not recognize. I think the two murders were caused by me. Their way of speaking has not changed. I was led by the police. Urging and persecution, even though I've harassed women, but never killed. N12-2005. Zhang City Court re-sentenced to death. After the second trial, the nation has once again appealed. In court, the words of the QQ Kwok are very reasonable. I'm asking the court to open the trial to the public. There's only a public trial. I've just come up with a satisfactory explanation for the victim's family. Even if I die, I will die. The main road is clearly dead. You can't just die. So I'm asking for a public hearing of my case. The third trial, to be discussed and decided by the Judicial Committee of the Supreme Court. The final decision is to reject the ruling, to reconsider the sentence of the first instance. The rest have upheld the death penalty. Deferred sentence by 2 years. Deprivation of political rights for life. So after 3 appeals, foreign countries kill people out of their Such guns. A cruel trick. It is to die without a doubt. But the sow didn't fire immediately. According to lawyer Cheng Ming of Shanghai, one of the lawyers on the case said, the case of the national remittance despite repeated offenses, cruel tricks that cause great indignation. But the key evidence isn't just the mouth. In every death penalty case, the truth must be clear, full proof. The legal process, through deliberation to decide. For crimes though serious, but by law is not a crime. Immediate execution is not possible. Sentenced to death immediately. After Qian was sentenced, there are a lot of people showing express doubt. The first is the lawyer who is involved in this case. The lawyer said, to cases where police did not hold direct evidence. It's kind of weird, first case, because it was raining, may not leave any footprints. Blood, but the second case, the scene is relatively well protected. The unsub was not wearing gloves. In theory, it's impossible not to have any evidence. But in the end there was no evidence, only the bow of the Q King Kwok, the witness's words. The owner is also suspicious. Maybe it wasn't a person who caused it. She said the flower leaves in less than 5 minutes. I suddenly heard a carpet scream. Hurry out to find the flower. At this point I discovered 3 young men. It's very suspicious. Standing on the side of the road. Hear me scream. There are people who cough. I came back from the bathroom. I didn't see those 3. It was because of urgency and fear. I dare not think much. Remember later. Those 3 people. It's like signaling to someone else. Now I remember the feeling of the hair on the back of my head. Willow doctor cure for UTI. When she was taken to the hospital, there were suspicions. My medical profession has been 35 years. I've never heard of the Great Court. It's a trick that scares people like this. Based on our clinical judgment, Little Hoa's small intestine is caused by someone else. Use your hands directly from your lower body. Based on the case, it's been less than 10 minutes. The killer is very likely. They have a certain professional knowledge. because even a pretty skilled doctor, it can't be in 10 minutes. From the lower body to the small intestine. Look at the wound of the little girl. The unsolved didn't just find the exact weakness from the vulva and abdomen, but also in a very short time find the place to look. At the same time, can again eliminate the case of weapon damage. Because weapons can't be at the same time hurt many places. That the small intestine and the inside of the vagina, there's a lot of serious damage. Be sure to pull it out. So you have no medical knowledge. They don't have the same slaughter experience as Q-Keem can exfoliate the intestines skillfully. A normal person can't know. Maybe from the side, in the vagina pulls the intestines out. My girlfriend also said that. Who's going to be the boss and the groom? Just because I missed a date, the wrong person to kill. It's unimaginable. The people of China are suspicious. What if the Q-Keem did that? Why did you voluntarily surrender? They were surrounded in the house. He didn't know the police either. How much evidence we finally got? If he kills people, they kill so cruelly. They say there is only one way to die. At Sao Q Kwok still listen to the advice, then voluntarily surrender. It's not about committing suicide or risking your life. More bizarre is the brother of QQ. Suddenly killed himself unintentionally. This raises another theory. I believe you've already guessed this fake. That's the brother of Q. People are really the killers. Some people say that people who smoke drugs commit suicide. Maybe it's the hallucinations. Some people also think because of the foreign affairs case, born in conflict with family. Distraught. What's the reason why people commit suicide? No one knows. People have smoked drugs for years. People also know that smoking drugs gives birth to hallucinations. Anything can be done. He, not as lucky as my brother to meet a good girlfriend. There is no noodle shop about to open. Try to think in the dark. Let two brothers stand in line, in the same place. Can a stranger tell if an AI is an AI? But that's just a theory that we have. People outside the case look at that given. You can't know what the real thing is. Finally, after all, the nation has also acknowledged all the crimes he's done. Those things are undeniable. The cruelty, his sinister ways, and his gruesome ways. It's caused a terrible obsession for all the Chinese people to this day. The case this time, you have opinions or any special findings? Please share in the comments section below the description. Please let us know.
Please leave a comment about your thoughts on this story. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. Stay tuned for more thrilling content and to experience the nightmares ahead.